Hey, what is up everybody, Blades here, and today for you guys another video of Persona 5X. In today's video guys, we're going to be going ahead and doing a unit review of the girl Howler, in which this was the next character right after Figure Skater in 3.0.2. Now this character brought a lot of different things into the game as well, being a nice old debuffer that we really did need, and so we're going to go ahead and talk about her a little bit more. But if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and as always, continue being you. Y'all have been absolutely amazing, especially with all the support on the channel. So thank you guys once again. But now we went over this here, one of the few things I have to say about Runa, or at least Howler, is that she's absolutely amazing. She can be used in a multitude of teams here, seeing that she is just a defender, or at least not a defender, sorry, a debuffer. And this character not only was just bound by an element, majority of the characters aren't really bound by elements themselves here, and I really figured that seeing that she was heavily fire based, that she was going to be bound by the fire element. Well, to at least our surprise, she luckily isn't, and is still one of the best debuffers today, beside at least the woman Matoi. Now, this character brought two different playstyles where you can utilize her not only in the single target debuff set effect, but you also can utilize her in more of an AoE debuffer. If I want to go ahead and compare to the newest debuffer here, I would definitely say that single target wise, she's definitely the best, while at least the AoE debuff wise, the other characters are better. But the good part about at least Howler is that she can be played as both and not really straddled into at least one full debuff set. So let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit. First things first is going to be at least the awareness side of things. This character is one of the few characters I have to say, especially as a standard unit, I was very excited. First of all, the trailer itself was very cute. It was very nice when she did come out, and she really did pack a punch with her whole kit when she released that as well. Not too many things were really to change when it did come down to this character, but one thing I do have to say is the A2 and the A1 technically, but the A2 is incredibly worth it. Pretty much with this here, you're not only getting the things from A1, but apparently just by going ahead and having your debuffs, whenever you have this, you're getting some crit damage taken by 36% on the enemy as well. It also allows you to decrease their at least healing received by 20%, giving you 2 more debuffs for the enemy to have. With this in mind, it pretty much solidified everything you need to know when it came down to at least making sure you're going to deal a ton of damage. This was a huge deal because she already stacks a lot of debuffs on you, and if you did go ahead and go for the actual A1 as well, you were also able to increase the fire damage taken for one of her debuff moves, as well increase the follow-up damage taken by one of her debuff moves. It really did go hand in hand with all the debuffs that she naturally just has. So of course, if you wanted to go ahead and invest into at least awareness 2, it would definitely be the best for your buck. Now going at least about the A0, she has an amazing starter kit as well. Pretty much whenever you have Warm Welcome or Furious Pursuit, which are both different little follow-up moves that you will be utilizing her moveset here, you will end up unlocking something called Go-Go Woof Woof. Now Go-Go Woof Woof is a follow-up move here. The Warm Welcome one, if I'm right, is skill 1, and then Furious Pursuit is skill 2, in which both of these, once of course you use at least once of them, you'll go into this other state called Go-Go Woof, or at least the other move called Go-Go Woof Woof. This has a 60% chance to then decrease the target's healing received by at least a couple percentages. These percentages are going to be based off the level that you are, so level 1, level 50, level 70, being that for healing received goes from 30 to 40 to then 50%, and then for defense it goes from 6%, 12% to a whopping 18%. This also lasted for 2 whole turns, so it gave you more than enough time to just set this up and get as much damage in with your DPSs, seeing that she's gonna have those debuffs on them for at least a good 2 turns. Really good thing to actually have here. We were missing this for quite a little bit of a while, so it definitely was worth having in the end. Now of course that we've talked about the awarenesses, we're going to go ahead and talk about the skills as well, seeing that they do go in tandem. Now this character, as I did say, is going to have 2 different playstyles, and I don't mean this by at least her card sets or her gear sets. No, I mainly mean this by at least her skill rotation. All of her skills initially, you're just going to want to get them all up, much like Figure Skater, and the main reason for this is because she has multiple ways of running her. In all honesty, if you're going to be utilizing her, sometimes it's going to be for the single target bosses. Now that Matoi is a deal, we have an AoE debuffer that's a little bit better, but you can of course run her for single target and AoE type purposes. So for example, if we wanted to go ahead and use her for at least the single target type purpose, you want to go ahead and use the skill 2, seeing this is the single target debuff, and then also use the skill 3 for the single target follow-up. And then of course, if you wanted to use the AoE version of this, you would use the skill 1, which is an AoE debuff, and then follow it up with the skill 3 being an AoE follow-up debuff. Really nice to have this at least in your arsenal. Definitely seeing that all of these are really good moves, and it allows you to kind of adjust your kit accordingly. So if we go ahead and check out at least the skill 3. Skill 3 is going to be your bread and butter. It's going to be the one that you really want to go ahead and go for. That's mainly because depending on if you have Warm Welcome or Furious Pursue, Furious Pursue should be gotten from at least skill 2, and Warm Welcome should be gotten from at least your skill 1. Depending on which one you do have will then depend on the corresponding effect. So for example, with at least Warm Welcome, you're able to deal at least fire damage to all the enemies and make them take more damage by 24%, increasing Howler's whole EHR, and that's pretty darn good, seeing you're then also increasing the fire damage taken by 20.5 for at least 2 turns. Pretty much big numbers damage for all enemies. Then of course, if you had the Fire Pursue or Furious Pursue, this one had a 219% chance, of course, for just fire damage, but this one was a little bit different. The damage taken, instead of at least being at least 24%, it was now 34.3%, up to some EHR scaling being 58.6% of damage taken. With this in mind, you did get, of course, the follow-up damage taken debuff as well, which was nice, seeing it was a 29.3% for 2 whole turns. Both of these will have at least their different aspects of life, or at least different aspects where you will utilize them for, so surely do keep this in mind. But both of these skills as well have their corresponding ones, so try not to get them too confused. It's really going to be a huge deal for her, and when you're actually building this character, the more attack is going to be really based off of her EHR. Both of these skills do give her EHR at least gain as well, so it's going to help you out overall. Now going at least into her passives, this one here expands more on the EHR side, in which increases her attack bonus based on 60% of her EHR counter. The more EHR, more damage you're going to get. As for the second passive here called Passion, this one increases your attack by 33% after you inflict enemies with a debuff 1 whole turn, but it also increases your allies by 33% after they deal fire damage or follow-up damage. So you guys kind of got the picture. She's really used for at least fire teams, but also can go into other teams themselves. But another team that she also can technically be dedicated for are follow-up teams. So anyone like Mont Figure Skater was definitely really good as well, especially if you wanted to go ahead and use them. Though it did just depend on if you had the follow-ups ready. So you do have to take that with a grain of salt when it does come down to building this character. Now that we at least went over her skills and her awarenesses, let's go ahead and talk about her weapon. Now her weapon, for me at least, I would wholeheartedly say this, is definitely a worth pick. It is a very worth it weapon here. The main reasoning for it is because all of the things that she actually adds. Now her 4-star weapon does give you a little bit of attack and gives you a little bit of EHR. I actually was using it for quite some time before she ended up leaving and I got her 5-star weapon on. But the only issue I have with the 4-star weapon is, one, the attack percentage is a little bit lower than the 5-star, of course, that's just bound to happen. But the other part is you are kind of bound to being into one of the forms first in order to take advantage over that EHR increase. What I mean by this is you have to use your skill 1, get Warm Welcome, or you have to use your skill 2 and get Furious Pursue in order to even activate the EHR. Meaning one of your turns are going to be a little bit weaker than the other one until you get into that form, and that's not really something that you really want to have, especially if you're looking for at least the debuff side of things. So of course, if you do have to deal with the 4-star, it's perfectly not that bad, but the 5-star is definitely worth it in my radar. Reason why I say this is because immediately you're getting yourself EHR by 36%, and then it stacks even more EHR onto her kit by 18% whenever you are using allies with fire skills or even follow-up skills. Seeing both of those teams are going to be something that you're going to use a lot with at least Howler herself, this is going to be one of the few weapons that you want to have. Alongside of this, it keeps going, allowing you to decrease enemies' defense by 16.7% whenever you do trigger Warm Welcome for 2 whole turns, which remember is our first skill. Then of course, it actually changes depending if you use your second skill and gives you this as well. Additionally, it can decrease the enemy's defense by 33.3%, triggering those effects of or at least Furious Pursue for 2 whole turns. Neither one of these can stack, but at the end of the day, they're both amazing little additional buffs that you can have for your character and put some damaging debuffs on the enemy. So I would definitely recommend getting this 5-star weapon if you can get it. If you can exchange it out, that would be even better. It's definitely worth it, so surely do keep that in mind. And now we went over at least the actual weapons, the awarenesses and things of that nature. Let's go ahead and go over her animation. So once again, we're gonna go ahead and show this character inside of at least the boss area. It makes it so at least they live a little bit longer, so at this point in time, I'm actually able to show you guys exactly what we need to do when it does come down to showcasing these characters. Now, I want to say the last time I've used Howler has been a little bit of a while, so we're gonna go ahead and actually use it on our Makoto's team, even though we technically don't use her in Makoto's team anymore. But we'll go ahead and take a look at this here. We can go ahead and see her 3 moves. Now, these will vary depending on at least what's going on here, but to trigger the Go-Go Woof Woof Roo, you need to go ahead and decide which one of these are worth it. Technicality wise, seeing it is a single target boss here, our best choice would be the skill 2. So just showing off the skill 2 here, you do something like this, which is just a flaming inferno coming out of the ground, and that allows you to do some decent damage there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and attack here because this is also allowing her to get her extra buff that she does get whenever someone uses a fire skill. So it's my main reasoning, at least to show you guys for that as well, so you guys can really get a good look. But if we go ahead and pop off her ult, which hopefully we can actually show it here and not get beaten to death for a second. Go ahead and pop her off her ult here. I want to actually show this in slow-mo because it does go a little bit quick as well. It looks pretty darn cool. It's a really nice little ult to have. He pops up, looks all cute for a quick second, and then you see a flaming ball come into your face. Pretty dang cool. Does an awesome little explosion, which I do like. Very cutesy and very nice for the character. Now, seeing that we already used our skill 2, we now can activate the follow-up of Go-Go Wolf Roof, and it does something like this, doing a single slash going through the enemy. Now, that does have a various different like debuffs, so surely do keep that in mind. Now, I'm probably just going to do this because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be too much of a bother here. Yeah, we didn't even get no crits because we're not really buffing anyone right now, so it shouldn't really affect us too much here. So let's go ahead and skip this turn so we can get back to Howler. Now this time we're going to go ahead and use the skill 1, seeing that I think he should summon some allies in a bit. Maybe I think it's the next round if we get him too low. This is going to be your AoE move. Normally it does that little hug there, or at least a little smack, in which by doing that said smack immediately will hit everyone at least on the field, being at least 3 of the opponents. That's going to be pretty nice for you guys to go ahead and look at, because then it's going to trigger something a little bit different as well. So let's go ahead and get hit by this real quick. And then if I'm right, this is not going to deal too much here. Cool. All right, now we're going to go ahead and showcase this next hit. Now this one here is another kind of difference. I want to actually showcase this on all 3 of them. So let's quickly just kill this guy off so you guys can see the AoE side of it. Which by utilizing the skill 2, which we ended up using, in which unfortunately it didn't spawn the mobs just yet, but by using the skill 1 that we ended up using, which was an AoE based one, it now changed the skill 3 to an AoE based hit as well. By doing so, the animation does change. Instead of just going straight through, she does a little bit of a double claw, in which does hit everyone on the field. So you do get a little bit of extra things there as well, depending on what you end up doing. But all in all, Howler is definitely a worth it character. She's absolutely amazing and still one of the meta debuffers to this day. If you did want to go ahead and at least, I want to say, invest into them a little bit, it would definitely be worth it. Just do remember, she is a standard character at the end of the day. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and exit out the video for this, at least for you guys yourselves. So next time, everybody, thank you for watching and peace out.